Okay. Thank Hashem that we're able to learn every day. And it's just about learning. We should have the base of English immediately. I'm just going to mute it. Okay. Good morning. Today we're going to start Lamed Amid Beis with the words that's 30b. It's Vaybayim Darsh Rabbi Akiva. And that day Rabbi Akiva taught and was talking about around the city of the Levium. It says there was going to be 1,000 amas, and it says around the city of Levium there's going to be 2,000 amas. So we said 1,000 amas was empty, right? Oh, there was Machlekes Rambam and Rashi if the 2,000 amas were
how much it was outside the city.
Besides for the 1,000 amas, it was 2,000 separate. So, but the Gemara said the 1,000 amas was going to be empty land, and then there's going to be 2,000 amas. That's going to be the Tchum Shabbos. Then there was another opinion, which was Rabbi Eliezer Benoy Shel Rabbi Yossi Glili. He said that the 2,000 amas was going to be orchards, right? So the Gemara says like this: what is the machlekes? Marsa for Rabbi Kiva holds Tchum and Deraisa. That when it says the 2,000 amas, it's referring to Tchum Shabbos. That means the amount of area that you're, the distance you're allowed to walk on Shabbos outside the city. He says, well, we have a biblical text that tells us about the Tchum.
I was curious, is there a malacha associated with the Tchum?
No, it's not one of the 39. It's a separate malacha. It's a separate violation of Shabbos. Yeah, it's not
traveling.
Right, traveling outside the city. And Marsa, it's relevant for us in which bridges you're allowed to walk over. Marsa v'derabanan, and one opinion holds that it's rabbinic, and that would be the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer ben Shel Rabbi Glili, that we don't have a biblical source for the Tchumen. Turns out some people want to say, I mean, like Yerushalmi or other sources hold, there's a machlekes even in the Rishonim, if Tchumen is deraisa or derabanan. It's biblical or rabbinic. Everyone holds it's really biblical. The question is if the 2,000 amas is biblical as well, or maybe it needs to be 3 parsayos or something. Okay.
Excuse me. In this case, will we learn that there's an nafka mina?
According to which opinion? Yeah, one opinion holds that it's deraisa, one holds that it's the derabban. You're asking if there's an nafka mina, if it's deraisa or derabban. Maybe Suffolk.
Okay, thank you.
On that day, we're talking about all of the things that were taught on the day that Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah became the head of the yeshiva. So on that day, Rabbi Akiva taught B'shasha Olu Yisrael Menayam, the time when the Jewish people came up from the sea on the other side, right? By the splitting of the sea. So Nasnei Neim Leimashira, they placed their eyes to say song. They were going to sing to Hashem. And the Ketzad Amrashira, how did they sing the song? It says Kigadol Hamakre Esa Halal, like an adult that's reading the Halal. Now, an adult that reads the Halal, really, he can read it on behalf of everyone else. Everyone else would just recite Amen or some other refrain but they don't have to each read it because he can satisfy the obligation by him reading it. So that's how they were going to say Shira as well. And they would just say afterwards the chapter headings. How did it work? Moshe says, Ashir la Hashem. I will sing to Hashem. And they responded, Ashir la Hashem. I will sing to Hashem. They responded with that word. That's the refrain. Moshe continues reciting. And they just responded, Ashir la Hashem. Notice they didn't have to repeat after Moshe. Moshe was able to say it, and they would just respond that with like similar to an Amen or here it was Ashir la Hashem. I will sing to Hashem. That's the opinion of the Tanakama here. Maybe Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Eliezer ben Shel Rabbi Glili, Rabbi Eliezer the son of Rabbi Yossi Glili, he taught Katan Hamakriyas Halal. It's like the katan that's reciting the Halal. Now, a katan that's reciting the Halal, if let's say the katan knows the Halal, but the adult doesn't. So the child is gonna help the adult recite the Halal. So he's gonna have to tell it to him word for word, and the adult will repeat after him, which is fine. Although if you remember, there was a Mishnah in Sukkah where it said that a curse should come onto someone that didn't teach himself Hebrew to recite the Hallel on his own or something, that he needs his wife, something like that. Like some anyway, you could do this where the child tells him what to say, but he has to repeat it word for word. It works like this. He has to repeat every word that the child says. Moshe Amar Shir Hashem. So here, Moshe is the child. Moshe says Shir Hashem. Moshe Amar Ki Goiga Behinam Ki Goiga. They have to repeat. Oh, and the side of my Gemara, it adds in Oziv Zimraska. Behinam Oziv Zimraska. Basically, you go through the whole Oz Yasher with the Jewish people repeating word for word after Moshe Rabbeinu. Okay. Rabbi Nechemia Eimer Kasefer Aperis Al Shema Bebeis HaKnesses. I don't know why he's called the Sefer. Sefer over here is a teacher. And Peris Al Shema is a little confusing, but what it means is that he just gets them started, and then they recite it together. He gets the prayer started, and everyone repeats. Everyone says, actually, it's not Einen Achrav. It's they say in unison after him. That's the Gemara says, how did we get into this machlokes? Like, what is the machlokes here of how the Oz Yasher, how the song by the sea was said? Well, Rabbi Elazar Savar Lamar. See what it says over there is the oh, I'm sorry, Rabbi Akiva, I skipped. Rabbi Akiva Savar Lamar Amilsa Kamaisa. The pasuk says, and they said saying. So what does it mean that they said saying? Usually saying means to say it over to the Jewish people. So what over here is being said over? It says, Rabbi Akiva says, Amilsa Kamaisa, that they would just repeat, they would say over, they would repeat just Ashira La Hashem. Rabbi Eliezer ben Aishel Rabbi Glili Savar, he says that lamers are called milsa, that they would repeat every single word that Moshe Rabbeinu said. That was like a child, that's repeating after the child. Rabbi Nechemia Savar, Vayimru Damrukula Badi Adadi. Vayimru, and they said, everyone actually said together. And lamar, the pasuk Moshe Bresha, that just means that Moshe started it, and then everyone else said together. So they're discussing what the verse means. What's the Vayimru lamar? Tanur Rabbanan was taught in a brayso. Darash Rabbi Yossi Glili. Rabbi Yossi Glili taught. When the Jewish people came up from the sea, they put their eyes to say song. I'm not sure the expression they put their eyes. How did they sing the song? Well, if there's a baby that's on his mother's lap, or there's a baby that's nursing from his mother's breast. Once they saw the Shechina, the baby lifted up his neck, and the child unlatches the breast from his mouth. And they said, "This is my God, and I will beautify him." From the mouth of the babies and the sucklings, the strength was established. Right?
You have founded strength.
You have founded strength.
Capital U. God founded strength. And they created strength, or they got strength from. Founded strength.
You got strength, I think.
You got strength. So these songs strengthen God.
Right. Hayar Reb Meir Eimer. Reb Meir says, "Minayin shafilu ubrim shebmei imayam mashira." How did the Reb Meir says? How do we know that even the fetuses sang song? Yeah, what?
Uber.
What is, oh, Uber. Yeah. Shenemar, as it says, "B'makeles baruch hu Elokim Hashem and Makar Yisrael." In the gatherings, bless God, the source of Israel. And what we're learning over here is Mimakar Yisrael, from in the womb. Mimakar, from in the womb. Makar is the womb. The Gemara says, this is in parentheses, but they didn't see. They couldn't see. We said that how did they start to sing? Because they saw the Shechina and they started to sing. But the fetuses can't sing, can't see. Doesn't ask about the singing. I'm not sure why, but it asks when they can't see. Amrab Tanchum, Keres Nasalem Kaspaklaya Meirivro. The stomach wall became clear. You know, like on the helicopters, they look down and they're like a magnifier. No, they have on the helicopters. They have like a magnifier. You know, when they're looking for someone, they have like this magnifier that can look. Is that true? I thought that's how it was. That's what someone told me.
I don't know. Never heard of that, but could be.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
Moshe,
We'll call it the Rabbi Smith magnifier.
yeah, so Aspaklaya Meira, that it was like this.
I'm sure they have it at the store.
It's here, it's in.
Anyway, go to Aspaklaya. Okay, and they were able to see. That's how they saw Hashem, and then they started to sing. The Gemara doesn't ask how they were able to sing, but
It says here that
right, a crystal. Spaklaya mirror is shining, clear crystal versus opaque. It's not opaque. It says that the Moshe Rabbeinu's prophecy was clear. Everyone else was opaque.
it's a Latin word. The Aramaic similar to the Latin Greek.
Specular.
Yeah,
Sometimes it means a mirror. Okay. It's an ancient lens. Baybayam Darash Rabbi Yeshua ben Hyrcanus Shle'avad Eiv Chulu. Rabbi Yeshua ben Hyrcanus taught that Eiv served Hashem with love.
Interesting because he said there were telescope, some telescopes you look down into a mirror. Sometimes you look direct, sometimes it's in the
Right.
depends on the telescope.
When they're looking at the sun, they use a mirror at the end of the telescope, where they just you don't actually look into the telescope. You just look at this. You see the black what is it? The black spots on the sun. Those spots you can see them, the sunspot. Okay, so Eiv served Hashem out of love, as opposed to fear. Let's say, one second. You quoted a pasuk. Pasuk was, "Hein yiktaluni," if he would kill me, lo yachal, to him I would still hope. To him, loy. The word loy means to him. Now the only question is, it goes on. He says, "But does the loy mean to him, or does the loy mean I will not hope?" And so he continues. He says, "Ad egval yasser tumasi mimenu." Till I die, my sincerity will not leave him. This teaches that he served Hashem with love. Okay, this was in contradiction to what Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai taught, that he served Hashem out of fear. Okay, now the Gemara asked, "V'lech say hay loy ibalamed aleph ksiv loyhu ibalamed vav ksiv loyhu." Why did Rabbi Yeshua ben Hyrcanus have a question? If lo yachal, to him I will hope. If it means to him I will hope, or it means I will not hope. Why don't we just look at the Hebrew word? The word loy could mean to him, but that's if it has a vav. It means I will not if it has an aleph. Just look at in the text and see what it says. It says, well, every time it says with an aleph, automatically it means I will not. It's not true because in all of their pain, to him it's pain. You want to say it means in all of the Jewish people's pain. You want to say that it means Hashem does not take part in their pain? That means to him is also pain. It says, maybe that's what you want to say, that Hashem doesn't take part in the pain of the Jewish people, that an angel comes and saves them. So obviously it means that Hashem does take part of the pain, even though it says it with an aleph. Basically what we just said is that just because it says lamed aleph, which usually means no, it's not necessarily so. Could mean to him.
Song is not
Dr. Stein, no.
Dr. Stein will look it up.
What? Black spot in the sun?
No, it's not
No, 'cause that's
necessarily
what I'm
so.
reading. There's all these articles with pictures of the black spot, worrying about a solar eruption.
Yeah,
spot.
sunspots is a big field.
Yeah, that's what I'm reading.
We're talking about songs here. Song is, what was the song?
It's not necessarily so.
Oh, it's not necessarily so. Yeah, that's a song.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it ain't necessary. So.
Yeah. How does it go?
My voice, you know,
Doesn't matter. It's the text.
on the lyrics.
Okay.
Mirroring about sunspot.
Okay, go back to sunspots.
There's
Oh,
When
a
they
guy.
put in sunspot,
There was a guy.
He's telling me about 8 spots on the skin. For this, I don't have to look at
There
it.
was a guy that was trying to figure out the market based on solar spots
Yeah.
and sunspots.
Yeah, it's whole
There's guys that they think like that influences the.
No, but that, when I was studying 100 years ago, sunspots was a legitimate way of predicting recessions and inflation and all that.
Really?
Seriously considered. Then they checked it out and went for it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was serious.
Okay. Ella, mashmahachi, mashmahachi. Rather, it's possible for the word loy to go this way or that way. Tanya, son in the Bryson.
It ain't necessarily so. My lawyer was here saying I'm not pronouncing English right. And Peggy Lee, who was famous singer back in the day, she was one make things.
Well,
It ain't
Okay.
necessarily a load of things that you're liable to read in the Bible. It ain't just necessary. So I wouldn't quote that song anymore.
forget it.
That's so,
No, but that's actually it
That's the
ain't,
verse.
yeah, it ain't necessarily so.
yeah,
When it says loy, it actually means to
the
him.
other low.
No, but that's right. That fits in, right? 'Cause
Creed,
he's saying
creed.
just because of the
Okay.
area.
Ella mashmachi mashma couldn't go this way, it could go that way. Tanya Reb Meir Eimer Nemer Yirei Kim B'Yev Nemer Yirei Kim B'Avram. By both of them, it says that they feared God. It says by Eov you feared God, and it says by Avram you feared God. My Yirei Kim Amar B'Avram Me'ava. Just like when Avram feared God, it was out of love, whatever that means. And also after Yirei Kim Amar B'Yev Me'ava, also was out of love.
In recent time.
Yeah, that there's you're saying that it's a
Love to
love
love,
that
fear to
comes
love.
from the fear that comes from the love. Avram Gufei Minalan. How do we know that Avram feared it? So another basically what Reb Meir is telling us is that just like Avram served Hashem from love, so too Eve served Hashem from love. But how do we know that Avram served Hashem from love? It says, well, the Ksiv Zera Avram Mayavi, the offspring of Avram that loves me. What's the difference if he serves out of love or out of fear? Well, the difference is Hadatanya what's taught in a brayso. Reb Shimon ben Elazar says, it's better someone that serves Hashem out of love than out of fear. Usually, it's understood that Ava means that out of fear sounds like he's fear of punishment. And Ava means just out of love. It's like much closer. That's what. Well, this one, the reward lasts for 1,000 generations. This one, the reward lasts for 2,000 generations. Over here it says for 2,000 for those that love me and those that observe my mitzvahs. So that means 2,000 for those that love him, loving Hashem. And over there, it also says those that love him, those that observe his mitzvahs for 1,000 generations. That means those that love him, it's only 1,000 generations. It says, if you look carefully at the verse, when it says 2,000 generations for those that love me, that right next to the 2,000 generations says those that love me. And then afterwards it says in those that keep his mitzvahs. The other verse says those that keep his mitzvahs for 1,000 generations. Over there it says those that love me and those that keep my mitzvahs for 1,000 generations. So right next to the 1,000 generations, it says those that keep my mitzvahs. Now, keep my mitzvahs means out of fear, that observe, as opposed to the love. So in other words, because there's a separation between the word love and how many generations, so it's referring to not the word love when it says 1,000 generations, it's referring to those that keep my mitzvahs for 1,000 generations. So which is those that serve Hashem out of fear, the reward lasts for 1,000 generations. Those that serve Hashem out of love, that's for 2,000 generations. Because you look at those two verses, and the verse that has the 2,000 generations is juxtaposed to the word love. The verse that has the 1,000 generations is juxtaposed to those that observe my mitzvahs, not to the word love, which means that love is more, lasts longer than those that serve Hashem out of fear. There were two students that were sitting in front of Rava. One says, in my dream, they were reading this verse. Yeah, it's not because they fell asleep during the lesson. This is at night. They were dreaming. One of them, the verse was, how great is your goodness that you have hidden away for those that fear you. And one of them said to Rabbah that they read for me in a verse, they will rejoice those that take refuge in you. Forever they will sing to you, and they will exalt you, those that love your name. So Amar Lahu, Rabbah said to them, and both of you are perfect tzaddikim. Mar miyava, mar miyira. One of you serves Hashem out of love, and that's why you got the verse that says those that love your name. And one of you got the verse that says out of fear because he serves Hashem out of fear. Yeah. Right. It's probably like what's the main one?
What is it? Two wings of the same bird.
Yeah.
Oh, they said they have to wing it.
Have to wing it.
Is that one wing or two wings? I need another wing.
Okay.
Wing and
Hadrullah Shem Shamayim. This was the fifth parak. And we start the sixth parak. Small parak. Nishakina le'ishtay.
I misquoted this one.
Someone that warns his wife not to be secluded with another person. Minister, and she was secluded. The way back to this topic. The way we're going to learn this, there's two ways of learning this Gemara. The way we learn, Rashi learns, afilu shama miyef pereach, even if he hears that she was secluded by a bird, a flying bird. A bird tells him that sounds like another song. That she was secluded, so she doesn't drink, but he has to divorce her. It's a figurative expression. It's a figurative expression. It means that he heard from someone that's not really testifying. He got the word that his wife was secluded. That's Divrei Rabbi Elias. That's how Rabbi Elias is learning. The other way of learning this Gemara is that she was actually secluded and she's supposed to be going to drink, and there were witnesses there. But he hears from a bird that she was actually guilty. Not just that she was secluded. He hears from a bird that, or the details of this, that in the room, what they did, someone. So then, the rule is that she's not allowed to drink. So that's when it means Yetzivit and Ksuba, that he just divorces her without drink. But that's Rashi's not learning like that. Rashi's learning that here's from a bird that she was secluded. So he can't bring it to drink, but he still he still has to divorce her. And he also, she doesn't lose the Ksuba, which is interesting because he doesn't have testimony. Right. It could be, but it means this figurative expression, a flying bird, that could be someone that's not able to testify like a slave. Okay. Rabbi Shua Aimer, that she doesn't become prohibited just from a bird chirping. She only becomes prohibited if it's so much the talk of town that the women that are weaving are gossiping about it. They're weaving in the moon. Then it becomes not lashon hara anymore. Once everyone knows about it, it's not lashon hara officially. But there's not 100% accurate. But
Some people that gossip, like, oh, it's coming out.
that's a way out of
Yeah.
It's on the news.
right. Amar Eidechad, one witness says, Ani reisiya shenitmes. I saw not just that she was secluded, but I saw that what she was doing, that she became impure, that she was together with this man. She was intimate with this man. That she can't drink anymore. Because the drinking is just to establish what happened, to verify what happened. But here we have a witness that tells us, so we don't do that. Even if a maid or a maidservant says what happened, they are trusted and she loses the ksuba.
Why isn't she hiding this?
That would should be high miss two witnesses.
Not a previous.
Now, why over here are we accepting an Eved or a Shivchut to lose the ksuba before we said that we're not? The answer is because over here we're talking about that we know that they were secluded also. Okay, so we have witnesses that say that he was warned, qualified witnesses that she was warned, qualified witnesses that she was secluded. Now we have one witness that says that she became impure, so we're going to trust that witness now that she loses the ksuba. If we wouldn't have witnesses that she was secluded, and we just had a witness that said that she was secluded, we would not have a witness that she was secluded, then she wouldn't lose the ksuba.
Is this in every Hebrew?
No, this is a non-Jewish.
He can serve
He can serve as a witness. Yeah, because they're partially Jewish. They're obligated in mitzvahs. Can eat truma.
I'm happy.
They're Jewish.
It says a slave or maidservant, neither of whom is generally regarded as a valid witness.
Right.
But here they are.
Here they are because we already have the two other witnesses beforehand of the seclusion.
So all of a sudden these guys get to be qualified.
Yeah.
Pre-certified.
Okay. Chamaisa, Bas Chamaisa, her mother-in-law or her sister or her sister-in-law. Sarasa, her co-wife, what do we call it? A rival wife. Yevimta, and her I guess Yevama.
I agree with her husband.
Yevimta means that her.
Waiting for her husband to marry. She don't want that.
Yeah, but we're talking about where it's the wife of the brother that she's
Right.
waiting to marry. So it's basically a tzara, basically a rival wife. Bas Baila, or her husband's daughter, Harel and Amanas, these people could be trusted only partially, but Valela place them they could be trusted that she's not going to drink, but she can't be trusted to lose the ksuba. So they get divorced because of this woman's testimony, but they take the money with them.
So
They take the ksuba.
either of these categories of people, if they're witnesses, it's not, just a. doesn't
We don't
justify
trust them,
ksuba.
right? It won't cause her to lose the ksuba because we can't trust these women. These are the 5 women. Are these the 5?
Yeah, they might have.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are 5 women that you can't trust.
Might have like an agenda.
They haven't, we can't trust her to say that the husband died. Remember that? These women.
Ah,
That was the Gemara Yavamas.
Would that be true also in other kinds of trials?
Yeah.
That these people, so in the famous, for the Rosenberg case, where they executed this Jewish couple, it was her brother that was the chief witness against his sister.
Oh, really?
He hated the fact that his sister married this creep. He was going to put them both away.
Wow.
So by Jewish law, he would have been.
Yeah, he would couldn't testify. Were they guilty?
Guilty and executed.
Uh-huh.
We have people that went.
The Rosenberg, this was like spying.
Yes, right. He gave the secrets away in a pumpkin.
I think what they told me as a kid was that there was an anti-Semitic case that was clearly biased.
They have to put Jews on notice that can't get out of line.
Which is
In the 50s.
after the famous, place where they
They hung them, they executed them.
hung
Rosenbergs.
Yeah.
the
the
spy,
couple.
the couple.
Okay.
Their son wrote a book. Their son wrote a book in which
Oh,
he concluded that they were guilty, but he nevertheless found them to be very sympathetic people of high moral standards.
Oh, uh-huh. That's interesting. Their son wrote a book.
It's called Warriors' Sons.
Oh, yeah?
I know his son is an economist.
Oh, the professor knows the son. He was an economist.
Yeah.
In Worcester.
In
Worcester,
Worcester,
Massachusetts.
Massachusetts, I also,
Uh-huh.
an economist.
See, it's 2 witnesses. You can't trust them, please, my brother.
So now it says Shahaya Bedin. We could have thought that you can't trust one witness here,
Right.
but we have a Torah source that says that we can. What would have been the logic that you can't trust one witness? The logic would be like this. When it comes to the first testimony, let's say the seclusion. It's not really the first, but it's the first after the warning. That over there, in order to have the seclusion, you need to have 2 witnesses, at least according to one opinion. There needs to be 2 witnesses about the seclusion. And why do you need 2 witnesses? Well, this is such a weak testimony. It doesn't even make them prohibited forever. Why? Because she drinks, she goes back to being pure.
So for a Kohen, it would be fine.
Yeah. Achreina, but the last testimony, which would actually make them forced to get divorced immediately, which the last testimony means that they were intimate together. For sure, you should have 2 witnesses. This is much more serious. So for sure, you need 2 witnesses. We have a pasuk that says it's not so. As I could have thought differently based on logic. Pasuk says that no, you can. This could get by with 1 witness.
There are 2 different kinds of, witnesses. There's one seeing the seclusion, one seeing the act itself.
Right.
Is
So the
this
one that's seeing the
discussed
act itself is 1 witness that is satisfactory.
That's enough for
Yeah.
Chayav Misa to.
Well, not for Chayav Misa. That's just that they need to get divorced. yeah.
How many, you need
2.
to see?
Yeah.
Could it be because if I have one, the waters won't work?
The waters won't work also. Right. I don't know which is because of which. They have to get divorced, so the waters don't work, or the waters don't work, and then I'm not sure which way it works. But both of those facts are true. That they have to get divorced, the waters don't work anymore.
Yeah, for the Sota to drink, you need 1 or 2 witnesses.
That's Machlekes Rabbi Shua and Rabbi Eliezer.
But for sure,
But here we're
These
following
5
that you need
cases.
2. Here we're following that you need 2 witnesses. Kol eidah sheyesh ba kal v'chay. Any witness, any testimony that you have is going to be believed. That means even one witness. And now we should go back. We should say if you can use one witness to say that they were intimate and that they should have to get divorced, then for sure for the seclusion, you should be able to use one witness. If such a serious testimony only requires one witness, for sure it should only be one witness. Talmud Laimar, we're talking about the seclusion. It says over here that they found something, what's the word for Ervas Davar? Promiscuous, a promiscuous matter. And over there they say by two witnesses the matter will be standing. So because it says the word davar, malahalan al pishnayim, afghan pishnayim, is gzeira shava. It says just like by monetary laws, it says two witnesses, and it uses the word matter. And so too by promiscuous behavior, it says the word matter. So we learn that it needs to be two witnesses. Afghan al pishnayim. Okay. So what we've established here is that besides for them being intimate, you always require two witnesses, even though it's not a monetary matter, which that's where the original source of two witnesses comes from. But for seclusion, you require two witnesses. We learn it from davar, mimamin.
My question also is the greater the onus, the punishment something is that the greater threshold of a violation or the lower standard?
Well, over here, the logic was that since the punishment is greater, then we should require more witnesses, two witnesses. The less
So that
severe the
raises
punishment,
threshold.
right? That was the logic until we said no. Until the Sukkim stepped in and said no. The logic was that the greater the punishment, the more witnesses it would require. The stronger the witnesses. Right. That's interesting. That's interesting.
I didn't understand the logic of accepting one witness of the act rather than requiring two.
Well, we weren't really saying the logic, but there is a logic there. The logic would be that we already know that they were secluded with two witnesses. So to say what they did in there, we will rely on one witness.
Mhm.
But we weren't using logic. We were using the pasuk. Okay. Eid Aimer Nitmes ve'eid Aimer Loi Nitmes. One witness says that she's guilty, and another witness says that she's not. Well, they cancel each other out, right? Isha Imeres Nitmes, Isha Imeres Loi Nitmes. Let's say it was a woman. One woman says that we know what she saw what they did. One woman said no. Let's say actually not. I was looking through and they were not. They were playing cards. Haisa Shaisa. So she's if this is the case, she still could drink because we really don't have any witnesses here because they cancel each other out. Let's say one witness says they're guilty. Two witnesses say that they were not guilty. I know what they were doing. There wasn't anything wrong. So if that's the case, then haisa shaisa, they still drink. Well, it's two that say nothing happened, so they still have to drink. It's an interesting thing here. If two witnesses say that they weren't guilty, then why does she have to drink at all? We're saying where two witnesses are knocking out one witness that says she is guilty. But then why don't we just trust the two witnesses and she doesn't have to drink? Two witnesses say that she's innocent. So Rashi adds in that two witnesses are saying that while you were there, they tell the other witness, we know that nothing happened because we were there at the same time you were. Now, what happened beforehand? That I don't know. So there still is a doubt, even though we have two witnesses saying that she's innocent. We still have a doubt because of the other time when they weren't there.
All
Well-
these cases, the witnesses are concurrent at the same time and based on.
Oh,
It's
we're gonna
too bad.
see after that. It's not necessarily are they there at the same time. We'll see. We'll see. You'll see. There's gonna be a right here. That's the assumption, and that's what's going on. So let's say the opposite. Two of them said that she was guilty, and one witness said she's not. Then she doesn't drink. Yeah, the Gemara is going to have a question that if you trust one witness as two, so then really you have two against two, because one of them is as if he's two, and then you have the actual two that should match up and should cancel each other out. We'll have to see. Okay. Hi Talmud Laimar kimatzu be'ervas davar Talmud Laimar Talmud Laimar v'le bikini v'le b'stirim yitbayle. Why did we say that the source of davar mimamin? We learn right that we need two witnesses. We learn it because it says by a monetary case it says davar, and then it says by a case of promiscuity it says davar. Why do you have to? And that teaches me that you need two witnesses by such a case. We could have said that the eid ein ba, that one witness would have been satisfactory for tuma if that they were intimate, but that would not be satisfactory for the seclusion, and that would not be satisfactory for the kinoi, for the warning. Why did we need to go to mamain and make a gzeira shava when it was clear from our section itself, when it says that we'll only rely on one witness for specifically this case, which implied that all the other cases you needed two witnesses. So it says, Hachinami Kamar. This is really what it's saying. Talmud Laimar ba bavale bikinu bavale bestira. Vituma baalma balekinu balestir lemehemen edechad minalan. Nemerkan davar v'nemalan davar malan b'shnei edim afkan b'shnei edim. You're right. You're right. When it came to the stira, came to the seclusion, you don't need davar mimamin. You don't need the zera shava, the verbal analogy, to tell us that you need two witnesses, because that we know that you need two witnesses because over here it says that only if they're intimate is one witness, which implies that if for the seclusion you need two witnesses. So what was the davar mimamin? That was coming to teach me that if there was no seclusion at all, I mean no witnesses of seclusion, but just one witness shows up and says, let me just tell you what happened. I was watching, and we're relying on him entirely. So that's not going to work. Over there, I need davar mimamin to tell me that you need two witnesses for that. You see, because I could have thought maybe the ba, which tells me if they were intimate, that if the eid ba, that means that there was no two witnesses, but really there was one witness. I could have thought that that's satisfactory. Comes along, tell me it's only satisfactory because you also had witnesses of seclusion, but regularly that would not be satisfactory. How do I know that's not satisfactory? Because I learned the verbal analogy from monetary cases. That's a monetary case. How do you know by a case of promiscuity you need two witnesses? Well, it says because the matter uses the same expression, davar. Okay.
In this case, you had a witness who saw the act but didn't see the seclusion.
No, you don't have two witnesses that saw the seclusion.
Just one for the act, and
Just for
nobody
that.
for the seclusion.
No one for the seclusion.
They had to be secluded in order to be active.
Yeah, but
There's only one guy.
the one guy doesn't work. You need two.
Now, can you have two witnesses and then like, what did it say about two witnesses and then another two witnesses that refute the other two that say, like, is that just
Two
like
against
minimum?
two?
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 against 2 would be the same story. They
You
would
have
knock
two,
each
but
other
they
out.
knock each other out.
Yeah.
Is there still a suffix there?
Then
Because
she would drink.
Yeah.
Because we had two witnesses of seclusion. You had two witnesses knocking each other out about if they were intimate or not. So then we're back to the
But 2
vision.
and 3 that deny it.
Oh, so
all
that's
of
a
sudden-
discussion. 1 second. You only add that up wait till the end of the page. You'll see how, when do you start piling on more witnesses as being strengthening? That's not necessarily so. Let's see.
You have two, maybe we covered this before, if you have two witnesses and goes through and she ends up getting killed. And then some people say, you know, those two witnesses, first two, they were in Paris with me. Mean.
Right.
Then what happens?
So we don't kill the two witnesses.
You don't
'cause
kill
it's too
two.
late.
Because
Only if they wanted to do, not what they actually did. Remember, kasher zaman b'lei kasher asa. The only carry out of the case of Zayman only if the case was, the verdict wasn't, they didn't kill the person yet.
but once the execution took
Yeah,
place,
then you don't do that anymore. Okay, Aid Aimer Nitmes. One witness says that she was guilty, that they were intimate, and another witness says not. Taima the Kamachishla. Why are we saying that she's going to drink? Because you have another witness that's saying the opposite.
No, but you need two witnesses. Just talk about
Yeah, but here we're talking about being intimate, not this. So, time of the Kamachishla, like Kamachishla, but if there was no other witness that was contesting, so then you would trust this one. Okay, how do we know this? The Tana Rabbana was taught in the Brisa. This was mamish the beginning of the Masechta. To read, going over what we learned on the first page. If there's no witness there, maybe we're talking about two witnesses. You're saying that it's two witnesses, maybe it's one witness. Says that no, you can't have one witness, and it says one witness. It could have said that you can't have a witness. Why does it have to say one witness? A witness is one witness. Why does it have to say one witness? So Zeb ben Yav, this is a precedent that kol makom shnemer eid erikan shnayim. Anytime it says witness, automatically it means two. Like fish. Witness means two witnesses in the Torah.
because that makes it.
That's a witness. Unless the Torah says one witness, then a witness or one witness, then you know that it's only one. Otherwise, witness means plural.
This person, Deborah, says because he has found someone seen matter of Debar, that's referring to two.
Well,
Like we talked about.
no, it ultimately it means two, but we had to get to that because we made a juxtaposition. Not a juxtaposition, a verbal analogy. Gzeir shava. And the Torah says that we don't have two witnesses there because it says ve'eid ba, and aid means witnesses, because witness automatically is plural, so it's witnesses. You don't have two witnesses there, but what does that mean? You have one witness. And she wasn't forced, she wasn't raped. That means that she's guilty. And there's one witness that says she's a surah. Even now the Gemara asks, if, see, it's very interesting because the Torah tells me that I can trust one witness to tell me her guilt. It doesn't tell me that I can trust one witness to tell me that she's innocent. So it turns out that if I have one witness telling me that she's guilty, I really have two witnesses because it's as if there's two. One is like two. One has the strength of two. In this case, normally, don't confuse this with what we just said about witness means automatically two. That means that you really need two. But then we have the pasuk that says if they're intimate, one witness is enough. That means the Torah believes one witness. That means that one witness has the strength of what's normally two witnesses. Then I have another one witness that comes along and says that she's innocent. Now that one witness, the Torah never said that you trust the witness that says she's innocent. So that one witness is just one witness. So basically, when you stand them up, it's not a fear, it's not one against one, it's really two against one. Because the one that said that she's guilty is really has the strength of two.
So you need more witnesses
To say that she's innocent. Yeah. But Ula says, if the Torah ever believes one witness, then Harikan Shnayim, it's considered like two. How could we believe the other one to cancel this one out? when that one is just a regular one. Ela Marula, rather Ula says, Tni loy haisa shaisa. You have to adjust the Mishnah. The Mishnah said that they cancel each other out and then she drinks. It's actually a mistake. It's supposed to say, and they don't cancel each other out and she does not drink because we consider her guilty. We just adjusted the whole Mishnah.
Do that?
Well, that's according to Ula.
According to Ula. Rabbi Yitzchak says the same thing. Two sages from Israel. Rabbi Chia says no. Haisa shaisa. Chia says no. She does drink because they cancel each other out. The problem is Rabbi Chia kasha de Ula. I'm sorry. Rabbi Chia kasha de Ula like kasha. According to Rabbi Chia, we have a question. And according to Ula, no. I'm sorry, you have to read it like this. Rabbi Chia kasha de Ula. Is that how it says in your Gemara? Use your pencil. I have to read it. Chia kasha de Ula. The Gemara says like kasha. We can resolve the question of the teaching of Ula. Yeah. The Gemara answers like kasha. There's no difficulty. Because here, kan bevasachas, kan bezechazet. It depends how they showed up in court. If they show up in court together, then they immediately cancel each other out. But if the testimony of the first one was already accepted, then that means it was like two witnesses. Then the other one tries to show up and knock it off. You say it's too late. We accepted the testimony. It became like two witnesses. I guess for some reason when they show up together, we don't automatically say it's accepted because this one knocked the other one out before it's considered accepted.
It's an easy way to remember. I'm trying to remember things. That A means two witnesses. An easy way to remember 8 is 2 witnesses. The gematria of 8 is 74. 74 is 11. It's a 1 and a 1. So it's 2 witnesses. They either come together or they don't come together.
Follow that?
It's silly, but you remember it because it was so
You follow
silly.
that? Like the sign says that 8 is gematria 74.
Right.
Now 74 together is 11, which means that you have 2 witnesses there, 1 and 1.
Either 2 together or one comes after the other.
You tuck in your t-shirt.
What?
Yeah, that sounds like Fidusha Bitni.
It's just a silly way to remember it. That's all.
Okay. Very good. Very good. I read this Sefer Leva Aryeh. It was written by Yehuda Aryeh Medina. We mentioned him once. He was a rabbi from Venice several hundred years ago. He wrote an autobiography. In there, he writes, did you read that, Naftali?
Wasn't he the one with the gambling problem?
Yeah, gambling problem. Yeah, he writes about his gambling. So he wrote this book about this Lev Aryeh about how to make a memory, how to remember things. He says the more cities you visited, then the more like paper you have to be able in your mind to associate things. He teaches, this thing, make a memory.
What was his name?
Leon Medina, Yehuda Aryeh Medina. And anyway, in there, he says that if there was a statement in the Talmud by a rabbi, so you try to associate each rabbi with someone that you know. It says Abaya, you associate with your father. There's Rabbi Akiva, you associate with someone bald. This one you associate, Rabbi Tarfon was tall. It goes through like every, and then he says, if you can imagine that they were the ones that were saying it, these people that you've just associated, it's easier for you to remember.
Most memory methods are like that.
Right.
They tell you either follow through, like when you go in your house, the first thing you see is your mailbox. The second thing you see is
Right.
your gate. The third thing is, and then you associate each thing with that. And then if you got 5
Right.
things, you say, oh, what was in the mailbox? What was by the gate? And then you forget the stupid thing, and then you remember that.
Right. Right. So what he tries to do in this Sefer, what he tries to do is he tries to tell you how to remember all 613 mitzvahs.
Very good.
How do you do that?
And you got to read this book.
You learn mitzvah day from the Rambam.
Okay.
every year.
Is it
Um,
only written in Italian?
No, it's written in Hebrew. It's a very small book.
But they have to translate it in Italian by Google. You need Italian.
Tanan, it was taught in the Mishnah. Rebecca, we're going to ask a question on Reb Chia. I think that's what we're doing here. Yeah. If one witness says that she's guilty and two witnesses say that she's not guilty, so then she drinks. Okay. Chad v'chad. If two witnesses say that she's not guilty, so that's why she's going to drink. But let's say there would be one witness that says that she doesn't drink. Then then she wouldn't drink. 1 second. Reb Chia said that she does drink if it's 1 against 1. You have to do Reb Chia. To kashan Reb Chia. Reb Chia would say that 1 against 1 would drink, and it's mashma. It's implied from the Mishnah that only if it's 2 against 1 that she would drink. So Amalach Reb Chia would respond to this question according to Yomi Warriors. Read at the end. It says 2 people say that she's guilty, and 1 says that she's not guilty. She wouldn't drink. That implies that if it's 1 against 1, she does drink. So, which is a support for Reb Chia. Elakula b'psuliedus. Rather, what we're dealing about here is we're dealing about witnesses that were not eligible witnesses anyway. And Reb Nechemia here, and we're following the opinion of Reb Nechemia. This was what Jonathan, you were saying. The Tanya was said in the Bryce from Nechemia Eimer. Kol makom shemina Torah edechad halach acharoiv deyes v'asu shtei nashim b'eshechad kishnei nashim b'eshechad. Works like this. Anytime that the Torah believes 1 witness, then a non-acceptable witnesses. If you have witnesses that are normally not accepted, what you do is, well, those are totally not accepted. But let's say witnesses that are normally not accepted, like for example, a woman. But sometimes we would trust a woman if, say, that the husband died or something. Certain things we would trust a woman. So what you have to do now is if there's a conflict, you have to add up how many you have against how many. In other words,
Generally, you don't have women as a witness.
Right.
Just-
yeah, so you go after how many opinions you have. And there are those that say some say that even 100 witnesses are only going to be like 1 witness. And let me see your Gemara.
You can't have a woman.
Okay, so it's being explained like this. But don't you understand that a woman can't be a witness?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way it always is.
So if a guy goes into like a women's locker room, you have like 50 women. You don't go by their testimony.
Right.
Don't worry, he'll be dead. They'll just kill him.
The nails.
With the nail. They'll nail him to the post.
Why did they go to the 5?
Because that was witnesses. Those were women that were certain testimonies we don't trust women. For example, yeah, that's not really a witness. That's a if the husband passed away, we trust witnesses. That the husband died, we trust the woman witness in that such a case. But we won't trust those women.
Rabbi Smith, though, isn't it the case that even witnesses, say a woman who's not normally qualified, her testimony can still be heard by the court? It's not that they can't listen to what she has to say. It's just that she doesn't have the status of a witness who, when combined with another, can establish a fact. But they can still hear what she has to say.
Right. They can listen to her, but that's not necessarily binding.
No, but it becomes part of the mix of facts that the Dayanim can consider.
Uh-huh. That's apologetics.
That's apologetic.
No, it sounds nice. You know what I'm saying? But the question is still there. Jonathan's question is, he doesn't get that. You don't trust a woman to, his question was, if a man goes into a woman's locker room and does whatever, and there's 50 women there, you're not going to trust, you're not going to make a verdict based on what they're going to say.
Well, I think the idea is that since women understand that they normally will not be testifying in court, they don't pay the same attention that a man or someone who does know that he may be called to court will pay to facts. That's the theory, according to Rabbi Shokot.
Based on what you're saying, this whole one of the felonies against Trump should not get brought up in court. The woman claims he raped her.
Right.
She's saying her testimony is not good. They should take that to court.
Depends what his.
Oh, wait, I know why, because the previous president, the whole nation believes what he says, even when shown to be right.
Okay. So Reb Nechemia taught that anytime the Torah trusts one witness, then, which just means like a woman, then you follow how many people there are. That's going to make a difference. So if there's two women against one man, it's going to be considered like two men against one man. And some say that Reb Nechemia said something different. They said that that if there was an actual witness, one valid witness that came, then then even 100 witnesses that came later to contradict him, they're only considered one witness and they won't override his testimony. And his testimony will still stand. What are we dealing with here in our Mishnah is going to Asai Isham Yikara, but we're talking about that a woman came first. Now, so two witnesses say that she did not. Now, what's going to happen here? According to Rambam and Rashi, the testimony of a single valid witness, and likewise any number of invalid witnesses, are all considered to be equal. However, according to Raiva, a single valid witness is deemed credible only if the valid witness testifies initially before others arrive. Okay, so and now we're going to have to interpret what Reb Nechemia says the following way. Reb Nechemia anytime that the Torah trusts one witness, then you have to follow the majority of the opinions, how many witnesses there are. That means two witnesses will overrule one man. But two women against one man, so it's two witnesses against two women against one woman will be like two men against one man. But two women against a man will only be considered like half and half. Will be equal. That's a discussion here in the commentary. If there's a difference if they came together. Now the Gemara says, why do I need two cases that talk about the Mishnah if there's a majority? There's different ways of learning this now. Yeah, the way Rashi learns over here is that if two witnesses come together, then if the shtei nashim bish echad, two women against one man, then it depends who came. It depends if they came together, if they came one after the other. If they came together, then we're going to say that they knock each other out. But if they came one after the other, then we're going to believe the one that came first. And then we don't trust the one afterwards.
Where's the actual verse that states that a woman like half like doesn't count if there's less? Are there verses that say
Probably it's learned from that verse in Devarim by two witnesses. Yeah. Right. That's what's happening here. The first witness would be the one that says that she's guilty. Right. That she's innocent. Right.
In a way, this discussion points out the testimony that a woman was secluded is more serious than testimony that she had relations, because the seclusion can lead ultimately to her death.
Right. Right.
Having relations is just monetary.
Right. Right. And that's interesting. So what happens now in the Gemara actually goes along that line. It says, why do we need two cases of the Mishnah to tell me that you follow the majority of how many people are there? I could have thought, could have thought that when do you follow the majority, that's only to make her drink, because that would be l'chumra. L'chumra would mean to make her drink. There's different ways of learning this Gemara. Rashi learns l'chumra. The stringency is that she would drink, because then she could die.
Right.
However, l'kula loy, l'kula loy yaslina. But l'kula, to say that she doesn't drink, then maybe I don't follow the majority. Maybe, let's say, for example, two witnesses say that she's guilty. She was intimate. One witness says that she was not. You could say maybe, leave it on the doubt. Leave it on the doubt, and she should drink. Kamash Malan, it comes to tell me that no, she doesn't drink, because I have the two witnesses saying that she's guilty. I could have thought that maybe I would only follow the majority of opinions over here, like the two against one. When would I say that two is stronger than one? That's only to make her drink. But not to drink, then I would say that I don't go like that. I would just say leave it as a doubt and let her drink. So Kamash Malan, that we follow over there as well, and she doesn't drink. And in that case, and she doesn't drink. Yeah, we would be lenient. Okay. Hadjalach Mishakina, let's go further. Eilu Nemarim B'Chalashim. The following are said in any language. That means they don't have to be said in Hebrew. Parsha Saita, the portion of the Saita, which means the conversation that the Kohen has with the woman, and then he administers an oath, all of that does not need to be said in Hebrew. Vidim Meiser, this is in the end of the third year, where he says that he has removed all his obligations from the house. He's paid up all the Meiser and all of that. That he can say in any language. Kriya Shema could be said in any language. Tefillah, prayer, could be said in any language. Birkas Hamazon, benching, any language. Shvus Seidas, when they administer an oath to a person, that they make him swear that he knows testimony or that he doesn't know testimony. That could be in any language. Shvus Apikadan, if he had something that he was holding that he claims is lost or something, an accident, to make him swear, that doesn't have to be in Hebrew.
You know the vowels.
Also does not need to be. The following need to be said specifically in Hebrew. Mikra Bikurim, the certain passage that he says when he comes to the temple with his first fruits, that has to be read in Hebrew. Chalitza, there's a portion where of chalitza, where she has to recite certain things that this man refuses to marry. So that has to be said in Hebrew. Brachas uklalas. When they came into the land of Israel, there was instructions from Moshe Rabbeinu that they should give blessings and curses on Har Grizim and Har Evel, which was over the border. This is in Yeshua chapter 8, I think. So that had to be done with exactly those instructions in Hebrew. Birchas Kayanim has to be done in Hebrew. Blessings of the Kayanim. Birchas Kayin Gadol, the Kayin Gadol would give a blessing on Yom Kippur after he finished. Those blessings were done in Hebrew. Parshas Melech and by Hakel, that has to be done in Hebrew. Parshas Egla Rufa, there's a section of Egla Rufa that our hands did not spill this blood. That has to be done in Hebrew. Meshuach Mulchama, B'Shosh Medaber Lam, there was the general, but this was the high priest that was a special priest that was used his service was just to speak to the people before they went to battle. He gave a speech in Hebrew. Mikra Bikur, okay, now we go to explain. Mikra Bikurim, Kate said, how do you know that the reciting of the Bikurim needs to be done in Hebrew? Because it says, you'll respond and you'll speak in front of Hashem your God. And over there it says that the Levium will respond. So the Levium responding teaches us that we know that they said it in Hebrew. So too, where's the verse of Anu Alavim V'Amru? That's by the Klalas, by the blessings and the curses. So over there it had to be in Hebrew. So here also by the Bikurim needs to be in Hebrew. Chalitza Ketzah, how do you know that Chalitza needs to be in Hebrew? It says V'Antzav Amra. It says she'll respond and she says, and over there it says Levium will respond. So we're using the verbal analogy of Anu, respond, to teach us that it needs to be in Hebrew. Just like over there, the blessings and the curses at Mount Gerizim needed to be in Hebrew, so too Chalitza needs to be in Hebrew. By Chalitza, I have another source. It says that she will say this. It says Kacha. So we know it needs to be in Hebrew. It doesn't have to be from a verbal analogy. It says clearly this. Brachas uklalas, Kate said, how do we know that needs to be in Hebrew, or how was it done? That's the question over here. How was the blessing and the curses done? It says, the Jewish people passed over the Jordan, right? They're on the way into the land of Israel after 40 years in the desert. They come to these two mountains, Shemron, which is in the south, Shebesad Shechem, which is near the city of Shechem, which is near the plains of Myra, or the Eloinim, maybe a tree, certain type of tree. The trees of, what type of tree was that? Does it say over there what type of tree? Shenemar, it says, Aleihema baby yard. They know are they not? What is what type of an oak tree, okay. And over there it says, Vayavar Avram Ba'aretz Ad Makom Shechem Ad Eilan Myra. It says Avram passed over the land until the place of Shechem, until the oak of Myra. Ma Eilan Myra Amalan Shechem, Afal Eilan Myra Amakan Shechem. The oak of Myra means Shechem. Okay. Shisha Shvatim Al Reish HaGrizim, Shisha Shvatim Al Reish HaRevel. 6 tribes went up to the Mount Gerizim, and 6 tribes went to the top of Mount Avel. The Kainim, the Levites, and the Ark were all below Be'emta. And the Kainim surrounded the Aron. Levium surrounded the Kainim. And all the rest of the Jewish people are. What does it mean? The tribes went up the mountain. All 6 tribes were all on the mountain.
We're standing on the mountains
on the sides.
On the side.
Okay, so basically they were divided. That a lot of people on the mountains. But they were standing on either side of the Aron. That's Yeshua chapter 8. The Kayanim and the Levium, they turned their faces towards Har Grizim, Paschu bebracha, and they opened with a blessing. Blessed is the man that does not make an image, any like idol image. And both these and these, both mountains responded, Amen. Then they went to the curses. they turned towards the other side and they said, cursed is the one that makes an image, molten image or any image. And everyone responds, Amen. Close until they finish them all.
You're saying in Yeshua, that's where they're writing that, but they're doing what they were said to be done in
Dvarim. Yeah, the instructions were given in Dvarim, but it did not take place until Yeshua. Yeah, they didn't teach this to me clearly in elementary school.
Me either.
When I was in elementary school, I thought that Moshe Rabbeinu was good. The whole Teichacha that they read, I thought that, and the blessings and the curse, I thought that was all done by Moshe Rabbeinu.
Yeah.
But it turns out that was instructions that when they pass over the Jordan, that this should be done.
When did you learn that was the correct way?
I think when I learned Yeshua.
It was 10 years later.
No, a little bit later. Okay. Afterwards, they built they brought stones, they built an altar, a sidu basid, they put plaster over the stones. They wrote the whole Torah in 70 languages on the stones. Big discussion what exactly they wrote. They wrote the whole Torah, they wrote passages of the Torah. Shenemar Be'er Heitev says, explained clearly, which means in 70 languages. They took the stones, Uvo, Velanu, B'Mekaiman, and they took it to Gilgal, which was where they slept that night. Gemara says, Parsha Saita Minalan. How do we know that the Parsha of Saita could be said in any language? The Ksiv, Pasuk says, V'amar HaKayin L'isha b'chol lashon shoim. It says, the Kayin says to the woman. When it says, we say in any language. Tana Rabbanan. Tana Nebraisa, Mashpia Noisa b'chol lashon shishimas. You tell it to her in any language that she'll understand. Almahi Shaisa, we tell her why she's drinking. Bameh Shaisa, and what she's drinking. Alman Nitmes, on. We'll see. The Gemara is going to explain what these questions mean. What she was impure, ubamahi netmes, and with what she's impure. Now we goes back to explain the questions. Almahi sheisa. What does it mean?
Everyone knows certain languages.
He has to speak the language. You have to find the Kohen that speaks the language that she understands. Almahi sheisa. What is she? And what is she drinking? That means. Why is she drinking? That's because Aliske Kinevestir, because she was warned and secluded. And with what she's drinking, that means which vessel, the Makida Shalcher, she's going to drink out of a little vessel, a clay vessel. Alman Nitmes, and because of what did she become impure? Aliske Schik Bialdas, because of immaturity. And Schik is like jokes and immaturity. But Mahi Nitmes, and how she became impure, that's b'shegeg b'mezid b'inus b'ratzon. Was it willingly? Was it was it a mistake? Was it by force? B'kol kach lama. Why all of this? Why did they have to go through all of these details? Because let's say she didn't explode, then they wanted to make sure they explained it to her beforehand, that she shouldn't end up thinking that, oh, the waters don't work. Because she has to know all the details beforehand, that it's not going to work. If she was raped, it's not going to work. Was a mistake. Okay. Vide Meiser.
Excuse me, she drinks through a straw, drink from a cup.
She can't drink through a straw. Yeah, it has to be a normal way of drinking.
We had a discussion before about straws.
No, water doesn't work, but they don't get the blessing. Yeah. Vide Meiser. When it comes to saying that there's a passage that he reads that he says that he's taken everything out of the house. Minolan, where do we know that he can say this in any language? He says, you should say in front of Hashem, your God, that you've removed all the holies, which means everything that you're supposed to give to the poor, all of that from the house. The Aleph, Amira Misaita, and we learn Amira from Saita, just like by Saita, it says that any language. I'm only Reb Svidla Abaya. Reb Svid says to Abaya.
This is talking about the house of the Torah.
No, this was Vidu Meiser. This is in the third year, and in the sixth year, he says that he's removed, or maybe it's the fourth year, the Pesach of third or fourth year. He has to say that he's removed all of the Meiser from the house. In other words, if he didn't pay the miser in the first, second, third year, he has to pay it up. There's a certain time that he has to get rid of it. And they have to recite a passage that I've done, I've taken care of all that. That passage, it could be said in any language. A specific passage which is done twice every 7 years. Well, the problem is, how do we know that it's done in any language? Because it says, Va'amarta, you'll say. And we learn from a site where it also says Va'amarta, that over there it could be said in any language. But the Gemara asks, Abaya, but by the Levium it says the word Va'amarta, and over there it has to be in Hebrew. So Abaya responded, Dan Amira Gradasa, Amira Gradasa, Vein Dan Amira Gradasa, Aniya Amira. When it says the word Amira, which is the root, Amar, say that we're learning that from the other Amar. But we're not learning Va'anisa V'Amar. You'll respond and say, if it has the word respond in there, Va'anisa, then that means you need to do it in Hebrew. Tanya, in the Brayser, person sings his own praises quietly, but he sings his shame, he does out loud. How does that? Where do you see this? Well, shvachi b'kol namach, his praises, he says quietly. It says min b'dimaiser. It says over there that he shall recite this passage that I've done everything. That basically his praises, and he says I've done everything that I'm supposed to. Genusa b'kol ram, but his shame, he says out loud that he says mikra bikurim, from when he recites the passage of bikurim. Why is that a shame? He says that our father was a Ramian and all of that. Great, it's embarrassing. The Genusay B'Kol Ram, the shame he says out loud. Shame you're not supposed to say out loud. Reb Shimon Bar Yochai says, as said over by Rabbi Yochanan, why did they institute that the Shemon Esrei prayer should be said quietly? They should say V'Avera. In the Shemon Esrei prayer, people would be saying the confession. The Slach Lanu, I sinned. You should say it quietly so that people don't get embarrassed. Imagine if you have to say that out loud. That would be embarrassing. 12 steps, right? We have a proof for this because it's quietly. Now, a proof for this is not that we don't embarrass people that sin. It's that when the sacrifice of the chatas in the Ayla, the slaughtering of the chatas in the Ayla is done on the same side of the temple, so that the person doesn't get embarrassed. Is he bringing a sin offering, or is he bringing a gift, elevation offering, not to embarrass them? The Gemara says, then we don't say, it's not that his shame, he says out loud, just the pain that we've gone through, that you could say out loud. Kedetanya, Tami Yikra. The Brisa that supports this, the Mitzvah is supposed to shout. He says, shout to people, I'm impure, I'm impure. In other words, basically, you should not come close to me because you'll become impure. Tzarech Leidi Etzari L'Rabbim, he has to tell everyone that he's impure. Rabbim Vakshim Balachim, so that people should daven for him. Anyone that has any problem, you should tell everyone. People will daven for him. That's a good thing. But shame, you're not supposed to say out loud. Gufa. Learned in a statement before from Rabbi Yochanan. Why did they institute that the prayer is said quietly? So the Vice say because Kasab Makim bin Chatas Laila. We didn't say it. The Torah didn't put the place of slaughtering the Chatas in the island in the same place. It says Valai, Vayikadamin. It's not really the same place. I know the slaughtering is all on the north, but the blood is not done the same. The blood of the Chatas is done on the top of the altar. The blood of the Oila is done on the bottom of the altar. Only the Oila.
Red line.
There's a red line, yeah. So the sprinkling of the blood is on a different location. People can still see that he's bringing a Chatas. It's not like he can get away with it. They no one's going to know the difference. They see where the blood was placed. It says dam Chatas l'mayla, dam Oila l'mata. It says hasam kayin hudiyad. Over there, that's only the kayin that knows. Other people don't see where the blood's going. Chatas nakeba ilazachah. The Gemara says 1 second. It's a problem. Chatas is a female animal. The oil is a male animal. People will see what the animal is bringing. It says the animal is covered by there's a fat tail that covers You can't tell if it's a male or female because the tail is so big, big fat tail on the sheep. It says Tenach Kapsa.
It's so weird.
That makes sense if it's a sheep because the sheep has the fat tail. But by the goat, everyone can see. It says that's his problem. He didn't have to bring a goat. If you didn't want people to know, don't bring a goat, bring a sheep, and no one will know.
Yeah, this one looks like it was sheared quite a bit.
Okay, the Bailalasi Kapsa, the Kamaisi series should have brought a sheep. He ended up bringing a goat. What about if it's if he did idol worship over there? He has to bring a goat, and there's no way everyone's going to see. Obviously, that it's a female. Well, it says over there, he should be embarrassed, so that he'll get atonement. Okay, let's leave it over here. Leave it by Kriya Shema. Shabbat Tov, everyone.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Great day.
Okay,